All right. Well, first off, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our discussions here for our weather event that's coming up here for Indiana. So, as you probably know, we are, of course, going to be experiencing another winter storm, round two, as I would call it, of winter weather. And so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. And so, kind of, let me go ahead and just kind of get right to it right off the bat here. Just give me a moment here. Let's go ahead and get right to kind of what we're going to be dealing with. So, first and foremost, this is basically a model, weather model. We call it the triple R, as it would be called to her. A lot of times, what we do, especially when weather events are getting closer, we usually use either the her or what we use the euro, and we can kind of flip between the two. But you kind of get the idea once we flip between the two. But pretty much everything is agreeing pretty well between the two models. So let's go ahead and kind of take a peek at kind of looking ahead. This is the time that this was recorded was at least this model run was a little bit right around 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, it's a little outdated, but what this does is this gives us more of an overall picture. There's certain time frames where weather models will give us an overall picture. So let me go ahead and kind of go forward in time a little bit. This is roughly about 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock down south in Central Standard Time. And you can see quite clearly that the rain is starting to move in a little bit in the southwestern portions of the state. As we move forward even closer, you can starting to see a little bit of snow kind of peak up in a little bit of the northwestern counties of the state. But then as we continue moving even forward, eventually you're going to start seeing that mixing. And if you haven't really realized already, this line here is kind of what we call temperature lines. And these temperature lines, this represents a little bit more of a red temperature line, which indicates warmer temperatures up in the atmosphere. And if you take a look up here, this is the blue line. This is what we call the 540 line. This is the what we would call our magical number of talking about frozen precipitation. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be freezing precipitation, but it gives a good idea of a good indication of, hey, there's a lot of freezing in the atmosphere, but not always towards the surface. And that's kind of the key that you want to look at is really what's going on towards the surface. And so we're going to continue kind of going through here, but that's kind of what these lines represent. So down here, it's a little bit on the warm side, which is why we got rain. However, with the temperatures that we'll see around the Indianapolis area, you're going to start seeing a little bit of mixing of rain and snow in that area. And yes, you can, even in between the 540 line and this line here, you can get some frozen precipitation. And so you can kind of see right along the Bloomington area and in between Bloomington and Indianapolis, and even out if you look in Illinois, you're going to see some mixing occurring even further as we go for that. And you can easily see that line there. And so most of the southern Indiana is going to be experiencing a lot of rain, maybe some mixing around the Bloomington area. Excuse me, sorry about that. But then you're going to see in the northern counties, specifically right around the north, basically the west central parts of the state, are going to start to see some snow mixed in within there. And as we continue progressing further, you can see that mixture. And this is kind of the more worrying, I would say, at this particular time, about 2 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. This is Tuesday, 2 o'clock. They're basically going to be coming up early this morning. If you're traveling, this is going to be a little bit more of the concern because of the fact that we might see some mixing and freezing, and so that might create some travel problems if you're traveling early in the morning during that time. But you can again see a lot of the area, a lot of the northern counties are dealing with snow at that point. And so that's going to continue on into the early morning hour, or into the later more portions of the morning hours as well. But as you notice, as we continue going through the early morning, you're going to start to see more rain because that's what's going to happen. Basically, what's going on now is that, and you can see this division line here. This is a warm front. Okay, and I'll show you guys here in a bit kind of why you can easily see that. But this is a warm front lifting upwards. So what's happening is that the cold air that you see up here is being pushed upwards. Okay, upwards up towards the northern counties, and so that's why they're going to get a lot more snow. Whereas the warmer air is pushing up north and pushing everything up. So basically, once we get to about 4 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock, and especially in the Indianapolis area, it's going to switch over to rain for the most part. So pretty much the whole state is divided up. The northern half of the state is going to be filled with snow. The southern half of the state is going to kind of have some rain, and then you're going to have a little bit mixture in between. But once we get to about 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, or in the or sorry, not after in the morning, you're pretty much the whole state is going to be change. All the precipitation is going to change over to rain. And that's because that warm front is finally lifted up to the north, and so it's pretty much pushed all of that up. Eventually, throughout the rest of the day, we're going to get that cold. We're going to get eventually the cold front pushed through. That'll be towards the afternoon and evening hours on Tuesday. Later on Tuesday, it'll into Wednesday morning. We're going to see some what we call wraparound snow. And you can see that low pressure system. The center part's going to be going right over through Illinois area and going up northwest in that area. So you can kind of see that go straight through Chicago. And so what's going on is the winds are wrapping around counterclockwise. And so the winds are wrapping around this low pressure system and going around this way. Well, everything's being pushed up north. And what we're going to do is we're going to get towards the early morning hours on Wednesday some wraparound snow from the low pressure system before it finally exits. And by the time we wake up on Wednesday, the system will be out of the state. We're going to get a little bit colder temperatures for sure on Wednesday, and that will be the end of sort of that particular um, system. So that's kind of one model there. Let's real quick go ahead and take a look at the European model. The European model is a little interesting. Last run was on 12, was a little bit late or earlier in the day, but still gives us a good picture. So if we take a look again at the European model as we go forward, it pretty much tells the same story. You can see right around again 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. You can see that mixture of rain and snow in the middle. You've got rain down here and then some snow up north. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. And then as you continue going forward, you can see that mixture pushing up. The warm front pushes up, giving us all rain for most of the day. And then as we continue going farther into the day through Tuesday, into later in Tuesday, that rain eventually will subside. We'll get some wraparound snow after, of course, the cold front passes through, and that's it. So it pretty much tells us a pretty good story on how really this is working out on this. Now, I want to give you guys kind of a bigger picture to show you, and I'll kind of zoom in a little bit on this. This is the bigger picture showing you guys kind of basically what this whole system looks like. Again, this was taken a little bit earlier today, but you kind of get the idea. But this is a huge, powerful low pressure, a pretty good, strong, powerful low pressure system that's actually been giving um, a lot of wintry precipitation out there. Actually, Nebraska, Colorado, and Kansas area. There's a lot of snow heading out in that area, and that system is going to be heading our way. And so you can kind of see that a little bit here. Again, this is what we would call a warm front down here. As low pressure moves towards Illinois, you're going to see that precipitation coming in to the state again tonight. You can see that right there. Here's our warm front right here that's wanting to kind of push up a little bit north. And then as that low pressure pushes, you can see that cold front right here. And you can see again the warm air and the cold air here. Again, those lines represent temperatures. You can see that cold front, and that's going to push through later on Tuesday. And then again, Tuesday night, we're going to start to see some wraparound snow showers, maybe a little bit of mixture before all said and done. But I wanted to give you guys kind of an idea of that and just show you the structure of low pressure systems. And again, you can kind of pick out those fronts. The front, a lot of people think, oh, well, I can look at a weather map and you can see, they label the cold fronts and warm fronts. Well, the way that we label them is basically looking at those temperatures. And you can see here's cold temperatures, here's warm temperatures. Well, right in the middle here is going to be a warm front. And a warm front is what we call the leading edge of warm air. We've got warm air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, and you can easily see that. I mean, we're going to be experiencing, not only with us, we're experiencing winter weather, but down south, they're going to be experiencing some severe weather. So you've got a smorgasbord of weather all over the country tonight and tomorrow. So it's a meteorologist really heaven for us because we love to talk about weather, and this is one of those times. Now, of course, I'm hoping and praying that no super severe weather affects, um, it really truly affects those that are down south. I hope we don't have anything that just destroys lives or property, things like that. That's not what any of us meteorologists want to see, but it's just fun for us to talk about very very active weather. And so it's been quiet for a while, but now we're very active. So anyways, again, you can see that structure. So again, that the warm fronts here, and that's connected to that low pressure system. And then eventually you can see that cold air and that cold front will come through. So it's just, I wanted to give you guys kind of a picture of the structure of what the low pressure system this winter system is pushing through. And personally, I really get a kick out of this because it's fun to see that on the weather map and whatnot. Well, let's go ahead and kind of take you again through some of the things that I've already mentioned a little bit, but then also kind of talk a little bit about also what my predictions are for snowfall, as well as just precipitation in general. So let's kind of talk a little bit about that. So here's another timeline again, kind of give you a little bit of kind of what I'm expecting. So from 8 to 9 p.m. tonight, rain will enter the southern and southwestern portions of the state, very similar to our previous winter system that came out on Saturday. And from 9 to about 8 a.m. Coming into Tuesday, so 9 p.m. tonight, 8 a.m. Tuesday, we're going to see a mixture of rain. We're going to see some rain. We're going to see a mixture. We're going to see some snow all across the state. As that warm front pushes up, we're going to see more rain. And as we push up, essentially but as that goes up, we're going to see more rain. But again, the northern counties are going to see a lot more snow, as well as a little bit more mixture. So that's kind of what's happening. Because again, the longer that warm front takes its time going through the state, the more snow that you're going to get. And this could be for any part of the state, really, if you think about it. Because if the warm front does stall a little bit, and again, it's not predicted. But if it slows down a little bit, we're going to see more wintry precipitation throughout that whole timeline between 9 and 8 a.m. Now, by 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., we're going to see pretty much the whole entire state's going to change over to rain and stick with pretty much rain throughout the rest of the day. So it's possible that whatever fell as snow will most likely melt and end up being, just basically regular rain. It'll just be kind of just bleh out, as I would call it. And then by 8 p.m. to 12 a.m., we're going to see a cold front passing through the state. Leftover precipitation from the low pressure system will wrap around and become snow or maybe a mixture a little bit, and all will be said and done by Wednesday morning. And we might see a little bit of snow left over, but overall it'll pretty much be about the same kind of thing, and it'll be all said and done. So that's kind of the timeline, a little estimated timeline with this system. Here are kind of my predictions of snowfall. And again, these are predictions based off the data that I have seen and I've come up with, along with also knowing the climate of the state. And of course, Indiana, I do know, that especially with this warm front pushing up, it really just depends on the timing. As I just talked about, if the warm front takes its good old time, we're going to see snow totals a little bit higher. But if it doesn't, then we're going to see snow totals being lower. And that's kind of what I was having a little bit of a debate about, because I will admit some of the snow totals from these models have been relatively high. Sometimes even saying this today about 5 inches of snow up in the northern counties or northern parts of the state. However, based upon what I've seen, this is kind of what I've kind of come up with. So the northern half of the state is, again, because it's that warm front's going to take a while to get up there. You're going to see the most snow, 2 to 4 inches in my prediction. Plus, what I mean by that is that some local areas may get, maybe even more than 4 inches of snow. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to get straight like 4 inches of snow full way. No. What I am saying is that it's quite possible that there may be up to 4 inches of snow at that case, between 2 and 4. Then, when we reach right around the Lafayette area, a little bit south, we're going to see about 1 to 2 inches of snow. I predict we're going to see a little bit more of a mixture of rain and snow, which can be a little treacherous. Hopefully, by that point, though, and from again by the timeline, all that rain will have by the time the rush hour comes around Indianapolis area, everything will be pushed up, or the form front will push up, and the rain will be all gone, or it'll be all rain rather than a mixture. Then when you go a little bit south of Indianapolis, we might see a little bit of a trace of snow to maybe 1 inch. Okay, but mostly rain down south, especially around the Evansville, Louisville area. Down in southern Indiana, you're going to see a lot more rain than snow, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing. So if you're in southern Indiana and looking forward to snow, that's not going to happen. However, if you go northern, especially northern counties like South Bend or northern cities like South Bend, Fort Wayne, and a little bit of Lafayette, that's when we're going to expect a lot more snow. But again, once the warm front passes through the entire state, we're going to be seeing a heck of a lot more rain, and most likely all that snow will melt. So those kids, unfortunately, that have to go to school, by the time they come home, most likely all that snow will have either evaporated or not evaporated, melted, and it'll be all going away. So unfortunately, that's kind of the case, and it's just going to be kind of a mess, soggy day tomorrow once that happens. But at least, in the early morning hours, if you are traveling, that's something that you need to worry about, and make sure that make sure that you are staying safe, because that is something that could be critical. So if you are traveling early in the morning tomorrow, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning across the state, please be careful, stay safe. That's kind of the why we really do what we do here, is that we want to make sure everybody's safe. Now, before I go tonight, and I know I do go a little long-winded on some of these things, and I apologize, but again, I've got a lot of information I'd like to talk about in these in the time frame that we have here, so that's why I kind of go a little bit on the longer side. But I wanted to kind of talk about this past Saturday's winter storm system that kind of passed through the area. And, I wanted to give a comparison between the snowfall forecast that I came up with versus what actually did happen, on Saturday. Because remember, early Saturday was when things started to change over to, the temperature started rising, so things started to melt a little bit. And so what I did is I basically posted what I came up with, and then what the National Weather Service totaled up with. And honestly, overall, it wasn't too bad. I thought if you take a look at my weather forecast over here versus what actually happened, it really, I thought, for me at least, and I thought did a pretty good job. Now, what I will mention, that's something that I feel like that I did that could have been a little bit more improved, is I was a little bit more conservative or modest with my snow totals. As you can tell, I put 1 inch plus here, and then what in reality it was a little bit more than 1 inch. Now, granted, I put plus, which works, but at the same point, to get a little bit more accuracy, I probably could have put maybe 1 to 2 inches plus, just so that could have worked. But I was just a little hesitant, and the only reason being is that I know the climate of Indiana, especially around the Indianapolis area, that I-70 and I-74 corridors are those division lines. And so for me, that's why I went a little conservative, because I know when you're right around those areas, you're going to get either a lot of snow or not a lot of snow. And so sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. And I'm going to tell you this right now, and this is something that I want all of you. And actually, I'm going to pop my camera on here real quick. Give me a second as I kind of exit out of this, because I really want to tell you guys this face to face here, because it's truly important that you guys get this from me. Um, One of the things with weather, okay, a lot of people joke around saying you could be wrong 50% of the time and still have your job. And although that can be funny and true, I want you guys all to understand that weather forecasts are never perfect. That's something that I learned up at Purdue from a professor. His name was Professor Baldwin, an absolute amazing professor up there at Purdue. He's now actually over in Oklahoma working for the National Weather Service currently, and helping them out. But one of the things I learned is that weather forecasts will never be perfect, ever, ever, ever. Okay, if somebody, what we try to do is get them as perfect as possible, but they never will be perfect. And so, if you hear if you hear other people talking about perfect forecasts, they are wrong. There is no way we can have a perfect forecast. Mother Nature is way above humans, and that's just something I personally have always believed in. And we try our best to understand what we can know, but that is not, we will never have perfect forecasts. And again, we try to get them as perfect as possible for you guys. But if, again, sometimes we're going to make mistakes, and we're all human. And that's kind of part of the reasoning why, weather's so fascinating, is because it is quite a bit of, it does take quite a lot of information. And so no forecast will ever be perfect. And I want you guys to understand that. So that's just kind of why I wanted to chime in there with my camera real quick, just kind of show that, because it is a true thing. No forecast will ever be perfect. But I feel like I at least from, in my analysis, this prediction was a pretty good prediction. I think overall here at America's streaming weather channel, um, or America's Weather Streaming Channel. I'll apologize on that. America's Weather Streaming Channel. We here, I feel like, did a great job with the forecast overall, and that's kind of why we shared this with you guys, for you guys to see our forecasts, not only to see why they're right, but also how they could be wrong and flawed, because we want to show you truthfully what goes on behind the scenes here and what we actually do. Because it does take a little bit of time and effort, but we want you guys to see what these forecasts are all about, not just basically coming up with random numbers. We want you to see where this all comes from. It's really interesting stuff, to say the least. Again, if you are traveling, I just wanted to remind you guys again, make sure you have all the necessary equipment inside your vehicle: flashlights, first aid kits, necessary medications, blankets, etc., all that fun stuff. Bottled water, especially, very important. Make sure you understand, avoid driving roads that you feel like are unsafe. Winterize your vehicle. Do a thorough vehicle inspection before you go. Again, these are things that I always want to remind people, because they are super, super important when it comes to all this stuff. So real quickly, I want to go shift back over to my camera here. I want to take a look to see if there's any comments, concerns, things like that. I know some of you may have come up with comments onto me, but it doesn't look like there's any comments right now. But if any of you have any comments on any of this, you're more than welcome to basically, well, make a comment here on this video, and we're more than happy to answer these questions for you. Okay, so hopefully this kind of summed things up really well for you guys with what's coming up. Again, things pretty much start really ramping up a little bit around 8 p.m. tonight, and we'll continue to go on, through basically Wednesday morning. And, again, overall, the northern counties are going to see the most snow. However, if, most of that snow is eventually going to melt, but it's going to take a little bit for that warm front to push through. So once it pushes up through the state, we'll eventually see some melting of that snow. It'll all change over to rain, and then eventually the cold front will pass through, and we'll get some wraparound snow from the low pressure system. So anyways, if you have any comments or questions, you're more than welcome to put it on this video, even if you are coming in later on tonight and just questioning about things. We're more than happy to answer these questions for you. But stay right here with America's Weather Streaming Channel, and we will be happy to continue to give you updates throughout the evening and throughout the night and morning hours for this weather event. So please make sure that you continue doing that. And if you're interested in more detailed weather, go to our website at americasweatherstreamingchannel.com, and you're more than happy to take a look at that. And it's also on our webpage, so take a look at that. Or on our Facebook page, so take a look at that. And if you're more than interested to get more detailed forecast and one-to-one conversations with us as meteorologists, please do that and subscribe. We're more than happy to help you out with that, whatever, if you got a business or even yourself. Please subscribe. It'd be wonderful. And not only that, but we will help you have the most personalized and detailed forecasts we can possibly give you. So anyways, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay safe out there, stay warm, and as always, stay right here with America's Weather Streaming Channel for more updates. You guys have a wonderful evening. Take care.